Hello again, everyone. Mark Hackle, Macomb County Executive. John Paul Rea, just updating you on what's going on here in Macomb County as it relates to not only the state of Michigan but the country. COVID. We're looking at the numbers again. The latest numbers we have: 1,088 cases here in Macomb County, and unfortunately 51 deaths. But if you put that in perspective, what's going on around the region, obviously Southeast Michigan seems to be the area where we're seeing a lot of that, if you will, transfer right now that's happening. Look at Oakland County, we've got just under 2,000 cases with 100 deaths. And Wayne County, as well as the city of Detroit combined, 4,476 cases, 146 deaths as a result. So why do we give you those numbers? Because we know as challenging it is right now, when we start to get to that peak, which I believe is probably going to be closer to the end of April, you're going to find that there is going to be probably a lot more numbers coming in on the statistics, cases as well as deaths, and that is extremely concerning. We want to make sure people understand it's a real issue.
Yeah, Mark, it's community spread, as we've been talking on these video updates. Statewide, over 9,300 cases, 337 deaths, and it's been interesting as the governor's been doing her updates, really illustrating the fact that this is impacting the entire state of Michigan. And again, everyone's need not only to go to reputable sources for that information to understand what the spread is happening, how it's impacting our healthcare providers, and also where to go for assistance if you need to.
And we have that connectivity, macomb.org. We keep telling you to go to that because it's got a tremendous amount of information, a very robust website that we have, and we keep updating it, not just with information, but various other areas you can go to for information. So we have the state statistics on there, but more importantly, to those of you who are listening from Macomb County, we've got all the updated information. We started off with a heat map, kind of give an impression of what's going on in the county, where we're seeing a lot of that, I guess, if you will, community spread taking place, and most of it starting in the south end of the county. But these numbers coming from the state to our health department are being relayed in different fashions. In fact, we've just added a different feature where we've done it by zip code here in Macomb County, and soon we're going to be doing it just based on community. So why do we do this? To get information in the hands of the public so they feel comfortable making decisions. Again, I've always been an advocate of that for public safety. Keep people informed, don't keep them in the dark. And so it doesn't mean that people in areas where you see less community spread at this point in time, that there is no community spread. It is happening all around the county, all around the state, so it doesn't matter where you're at. You're going to find that it's still this need to shelter in place and keep that distance from one another so you don't get impacted by this.
Yeah, Mark, the portal that we put together, again, what we're looking at is the right data, right time, right purpose. As we continue to get this treasure trove of data from the state about what's happening with this virus, how it impacts your communities, it's absolutely essential that we let those that are the stewards of this data, whether it's the public health officials or the healthcare experts, understand how it impacts our community. You're absolutely right. It's about getting that data out to the public, understanding how it's impacting everybody's lives, but getting it in a form that actually gets us to take the right decisions moving forward to ensure that we're protecting everyone around the county.
Let's face it, there were people that were naysayers at the beginning of this. The onset of this, there are people thinking, really this isn't really a concern, it's not here in our area. The information tells you that this is an issue. And so the more data information we can put in your hands, I think the better you're able to make proper decisions for you and your family. So with that being said, we're starting to realize now with that data information helpful to us because of what's happening from our healthcare providers, our hospitals. We're starting to see that they're reaching some of their capacity issues. We've been trying to work with them, the Army Corps, trying to work with the folks from FEMA and our emergency management team here to find alternate locations, ad hoc locations for some of the, I guess if you will, excess amount of patients these hospitals are seeing. And we're doing that as we're speaking here right now. We're checking out a few different places in Macomb County.
Yeah, Mark, it's part of that federal response where we're not only working with partners up the chain of command from the state to the federal level, we're illustrating the capacity that we have in our existing hospital and healthcare facilities and understanding how we can scale that up into existing facilities across the county. It's been a refreshing conversation to know that they're at the forefront of this, to understand what capacity is going to look like a few days, a few weeks in the future here, and how can we ensure we have the necessary staff that will be able to support those new installations as they come online.
And the additional information that we get helps us when we start talking to our first responders, to our hospital folks, and kind of get an idea of what their needs are. Personal protection equipment, the number one concern they're having in these hospitals. Ventilators, masks, and a variety of other, I guess if you will, items that help keep them protected because they're on the front line. And again, we can't thank them enough. They are without question the heroes in our communities right now with the work that they're doing. So with that being said, we've reached out, whether it's churches, Macomb Intermediate School District, as well as Macomb Community College. And speaking of Macomb Intermediate School District, wow, what an incredible opportunity they took upon themselves. The 21 districts came together and said, hey, we know there's a need for supplies. we're going to be probably closing schools, and as a result of that, let's see if we've got some things that we can donate to those first responders and to our schools. And they stepped up in a big way. Mike DeVault, school superintendents, we can't thank you enough for what you did for first responders and making the donations yesterday to get them to those that are in critical need of it right now, because we're in short supply.
Mark, it's a great example of how our community's coming together. Obviously, the need was out there. Mike DeVault coordinating with the local school districts, getting into those classrooms, seeing what type of PPE that they had, and now giving the opportunity for us to get those to those that need it most critically right now.
And you know what? It also, having been there, we went and picked up those supplies just yesterday, and I went there personally myself. Thank Mike DeVault, and as we're there, the bus drivers are out there getting ready, prepared to do what they've been doing ever since the schools have shut down or closed. I tell you, it was amazing to see the volunteers, hundreds of buses that are going around the community, picking up at different school districts food to take into the community to help feed the kids that are in need right now. So, you know, the volunteers, the teachers, the support that we're getting from our ISD here, our public schools, has been absolutely incredible. And again, I was fortunate to have got the opportunity to see this firsthand. You know, it's amazing what's going on and people wanting to support the community. But the food, people that are looking for pantries, there's information available to them.
Absolutely. All that information is on macombgov.org. Not only are we coordinating with the local school districts that have been giving hundreds of thousands of meals out since this process started, but ensuring that our local pantries, the over 5 dozen of them that are currently open, getting food and distributing. Our Meals on Wheels program is completely ramped up. Our food warehouse bringing in volunteers, making sure that we're getting that food to the most vulnerable populations in this time of year.
And you can go to macombgov.org, and there's another icon there talking about food. In other words, whether it's trying to find a pantry, if there's service available from the schools, how do they come to your area, where are they dropping off at, what school you can go to pick up some of these meals, as well as restaurants that are currently doing the carry out, and or you can pull up to the front and they'll bring the food out to you. So a lot of information on the website for that as well. And you know, with that, we talked about donations. We finally got a shipment or allotment in here for our first responders and for the healthcare folks from the national stockpile. We got a tremendous amount of support from the federal government, as well as the state of Michigan. So just yesterday, we were doing the same thing. The minute it hits our doors and gets to our warehouse, we were getting that out. We had every one of the first responder agencies here in Macomb County Police, Fire, and EMS showing up at our warehouse, picking up their allotment of some of these supplies, as well as the distribution to the hospitals. Again, the number one thing was those N95 masks, but we were able to get those to those folks. And again, is it enough? It probably is not going to be enough for quite some time. We're still trying to figure out how do we ramp up, always willing to take donations, but it did put a dent in that and kind of pushed it out for another month. You know, the supplies are going to help them, but we need to make sure that we're going to continue to provide them what they need for the next several months.
A little bit of breathing room there, Mark, and it was a great display yesterday, having the opportunity to disperse that to, you know, those that are on the front lines in our public safety community. But the other thing that's absolutely essential too is our emergency management personnel are working all lines of the supply chain to get this and source this PPE and get it back here to Macomb County.
Yeah, it's interesting because when they showed up, as we're sitting there looking for that, I mean, the smiles on their faces, the appreciative nature of all those police, fire, and EMS personnel that were picking up those items to take them back to their departments. It's amazing because I have 30 years in law enforcement. I've never seen anything like this. I never thought that we'd have to, you know, beg for supplies. I guess is probably the easiest way of putting it, or wait for supplies. So obviously in the future, moving forward, this can never happen again. We got to figure it out. But in the meantime, we are trying to figure out how do we compete with other communities, other counties, other cities, other states to get the folks that we have here on the front line the equipment they need to keep them protected. Because let's face it, they're going home to their families, and you certainly don't want them catching something and transferring it back home to the folks that are in their homes right now. So we're working on it. Emergency Medicine's doing a great job figuring out how do we come up with, with the proper amount of supplies.
It's going to take a lot of folks. It's going to take a lot of effort, but I'm absolutely confident not only we're off on the right foot, but we're going to be able to respond even more in the future.
We just got news today. The governor, she decided to suspend school, the school year, try to find alternate learning opportunities for the kids. I guess by the end of April, they're all supposed to come up with their plan as how they're going to do it. I guess the simplest way of putting it is, you know, kids are going to be able to graduate, those that are looking to graduate, but kids in this K through 12 programming here are going to have to put a plan together, submit it to the ISD as to how they're going to provide alternate learning for kids, whether it's online, how they're going to provide technology if they don't have the technology at home for kids to keep up with it. The easiest way of putting this, I guess, is it's a very complicated and long, I guess, executive order. But with that being said, You need to check with your school district if you have a kid that's going to school to find out more information, whether it's online through their website, connecting with them, if there's a phone line available. So whatever school district you happen to, be connected to in your community, check with them to find out what you need to do to make sure your kid is meeting the criteria necessary based upon this new executive order.
Yeah, Mark, those alternative learning plans are going to give an outlet for a lot of districts and students to continue to receive some form of instruction. Again, as Mark just highlighted, the most important thing is go to those credible sources. Go directly to your administrators, whether it's the superintendent's office or key personnel on the curriculum side. They're going to be working and coordinating with Mike DeVault and the ISD to get these learning plans up and running and ensure from now or whenever school gets back that they're going to be outlets for kids to continue to get instructional resources.
It's going to be a little bit more of a challenge for parents, even at home. It's almost like they're kind of somewhat semi-homeschooling, if you will. And we understand that, but let's face it, sending them back to school is not an option, and keeping kids safe. So, I think this was inevitable. I think it was coming. I would agree with the governor. We kind of had forethought into saying, foresight, this is probably going to happen. And with that being said, parents need to monitor. They're going to have to kind of keep an eye on their kids, making sure they're keeping up with their academics online. And again, I'm sure every school district here in Macomb County wants to be supportive, wants to be helpful, and they will. They'll be there for you during this process. So we don't have all the answers, but as this progresses, you're going to have to try to figure out how you connect with the school districts to get more of those answers, to have a better understanding of what your kid's going to need to do to finish up the school year, not being in the schools itself.
Absolutely, Mark.
So, also I just want to touch on real quick, our animal shelter. They're still up and running, but people cannot show up to the animal shelter. We're fortunate. We're getting incredible response from those that are there as fosters to try to figure out how do they take care of some of our animals, as well as the rescues. They've stepped up in a big way, so we don't have to worry about the kennel itself. Actually, we've been able to displace a lot of those animals in our shelters to the rescues as well as to other fosters. And thankfully, there are many people out there that really want to care for these pets, and I think a lot of pets are getting a lot of attention now that a lot of people are at home, and that's a good thing. With that being said, but also, if you still have needs that are, concerning to the animal shelter, whatever, you can either go online, macombgov.org, or just simply call 586-469-5115. Again, that phone number is 586-469-5115. And they will try to help get you direct information, whether it's a licensing, if you've got an animal issue, they will support you and they will help you. So they're still working. We're just, once again, trying to protect them by not having them in a location where they're spreading it amongst themselves and or to the public.
Mark, I just think that's another example of some of these emerging community needs that are going to pop up. That's why county government is not only here still operational, trying to modernize every day to get service to the public. But again, macombgov.org, you go there, you can connect in, figure out the best way, whether it's the animal shelter, whether it's the treasurer's office, whether it's clerk or anyone in between, we'll be able to get you those credible resources.
Yeah, and as a county, we recognize that even in care for our animals and our pets is still an essential function. We're just doing it a little bit differently. So a lot of essential functions still going on here, whether it's the health department work that's going on, the animal control, the folks down here in the dispatch, policing, the jail itself. So a lot of folks are still doing their job. It's just a little bit different, and we ask for your patience as we try to get through this, and any suggestions you have to help to make it a little bit more efficient, we welcome that as well. So thanks again for joining us in this update, and we look forward to updating you again tomorrow.
Appreciate the time.